Hello, ta-da. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Butterfly Square Garden. If you're here for the first time, my name's Jason, but I like to go by Butterfly Square Garden, also on Instagram, Green Valley 0.0. We do a lot of stuff here. We take care of animals, we do makeup, and we also draw. So that's kind of what. Sorry, nose is a little itchy. By the way, COVID. Wear a mask, everybody. I know even if you've been vaccinated, we still need to mask up until we're all safe. So, jumping right in. Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain is a really good book that I love to reference. Um, to anyone who's interested in drawing or interested in refining their skills as a fine arts visual design teaching artist, that's what I do. I used to have, you know, 20 kids in my class, and I would sit them all down, and I wanted them to draw portraits. But yeah, so this is a book, Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain by Betty Edwards, and it says over here, sorry, it's dark, it's nighttime. I'll record in the morning when it's sunny next time. And it took me forever to set up the light. This is literally the best I can do. A course in enhancing creativity and artistic confidence. So, anyone can draw, and I feel like drawing is a natural human activity that anyone who can read and write can and should know how to draw. So, if there was an adult who didn't know how to read and write, you'd be like, hello, you're kind of disadvantaged in life. So, yeah, I said reading and writing. Drawing's the same way. And we've learned in this book, it's kind of like the learn how to draw book. This lady gives a little workshop, and then people go from not knowing how to draw to knowing how to draw in just like a couple of days. And the theory is that drawing is a global skill, just like riding a bike or, like driving a car. Um, and yeah, so let me do a little boop beep doop. I want you guys to see my book a little better. But people go from drawing like that to drawing like this in just a couple of days. They do kind of, it's called the killer course, it's intense, but we're going to do like a smaller little adapted version that suits our needs, which is a nice little stress-free environment. Oh, be yourself. Your place where you're free to be yourself. Good, I finally got that on camera. I was gonna say that earlier and I forgot and I was just gonna move on. But yep, Butterfly Square Garden is a space where you can you're free to be yourself. There you go. So I always talk about this in the beginning of the videos, but until you guys drop comments and tell me to move on, I'm not going to move on, and this is just the very first part of my syllabus, so maybe I need to practice teaching it. Like other global skills, for example, reading, driving, skiing, and walking, drawing is made up of component skills that become integrated into a whole skill. So once you've learned the component skills and integrated them, you can draw. Just as you have once learned to read, you know how to read for life, and if you know how to walk, you can walk for life. You don't have to go on and on forever adding additional basic skills. So hey, if that's news to you, that's good news, right? You can learn and never forget how to draw. That's what attracted it to me in the first place. So progress takes the form of practice, refinement of technique, and learning what to use the skills for. So what are these skills, you ask? I'm glad you asked. She says it's exciting because people can learn to draw reasonably fast. It took me like when I was ready and I could finally figure out how to ride a bike, like I just got it. And it took a couple of tries. Like I didn't get it the first time. I remember being too young. But when you're ready, you're ready, and anyone can learn. Everyone's ready to draw. So yeah, these skills, surprisingly, they're not even drawing skills. So if you want to learn how to draw, you got to practice other skills, and they're actually perceptual skills. So what do you mean by that? Um, there's only five, and technically four, so we'll get to that. The global skill of drawing a perceived object, person, landscape, something you see out there, requires only five basic component skills, no more. And these skills are not drawing skills, they're perceptual skills, listed as follows. 1. The perception of edges. 2. The perception of spaces. 3. The perception of relationships. 4. The perception of lights and shadows. And 5. The perception of the whole, or the gestalt. Okay, so you can see in this little circle over here that the skills build upon each other. You go edges, spaces, relationships, lights, dark, shadows. And then the gestalt just means all of them put together, and that kind of happens naturally. So, boop boo, da, 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 da. That's really all you need to know over there. So why do I like this book so much? What does it even do? What's the point? Um, in order to learn how to draw, you need to understand that we have different ways of processing our realities. So some people think of this as left brain, right brain. Like we know it's more holistic than that, but let's just, for the sake of discussion, agree that we've got a left brain and a right brain. And how are they different? So, modern brain scientists now know that your left brain is your verbal, rational brain, and it thinks serially and reduces its thoughts to numbers, letters, and words. And your right brain is your nonverbal and intuitive brain, and it thinks in patterns or pictures. You can think in pictures. So let's go on. Composed of whole things and does not comprehend reductions, either numbers, letters, or words. From Fabric of the Mind by eminent scientist and neurosurgeon Richard Bergland from New York. Viking penguin, whatever that means. I go through this book so many times and I keep finding like little gems of information. So, I like discussing it with you guys. So, how do you like the book so far? You want me to move on? Tell me you learned a lesson and I'll move on. Otherwise, I'm going to repeat myself. Uh-huh. So now we know to draw, we shouldn't be using the left mode, which is like the dominant every day, all day long mode. It's kind of how we get through our day. But yeah, drawing is a right mode, and it's if you don't know what I'm talking about, this could help. So in this edition, because they keep updating it, so get the newest updated version if you can. I again reiterate a basic strategy for gaining access at a conscious level to the R mode, my term for the visual perceptual mode of the brain. And I continue to believe that this strategy is probably my main contribution to educational aspects of the right hemisphere story. Interesting. So if you want to learn how to draw, you're going to learn some brain stuff. So that became blah blah blah. Roger Sperry celebrated. I gotta learn that name. So what's the strategy for accessing R mode? Let me take a sip of green tea. It's good for your health. Oh, I'm supposed to tell you what we do in our videos. Oh, oops, fallen. We're only 9 minutes in. Usually the class is an hour long. And we're gonna do readings from Drawing on the Right Side. We're almost done with that, so I should have told you guys way earlier. Then we're gonna do some drawing from our anatomy book. We're still going through the skull because we don't know all the bones in the skull. There's like 9, not including the teeth, which is 32. And Then we're going to do some gesture drawing. Then we're going to do self-portraits. And if we have time left over, we're going to do some slam poetry. Oh, and our critique. So I was a little out of practice. I took some time off, but I'm back. And we're trying to do, like a class a day. And then whatever else in your own free time. But and I'm going to give you some homework. Yeah. So now we know what the R mode is, and we know that it's not it's the subdominant perceptual mode. So how do we access it? Is this as focused as I'm gonna get? I'm doing my best, everybody. I'm still learning. It took a lot to just get the lighting and the sound and the split screen with the multiple cameras. Oh my god. I give everyone credit. Anyone who makes videos, like, especially when you're starting out and you don't have all this technology. Oh my god, it's so much. So if you need help, you can ask me, and I'll try to help. So in order to gain access to the subdominant visual perceptual R mode of the brain, it is necessary to present the brain with a job that the verbal analytic L mode will turn down. Um, like drawing, but the L mode, again, if you're not in the right frame of mind, you're gonna just start drawing in the L mode. So let's move on because, yeah, this book will explain. So all of the exercises in this book, therefore, are based on two organizing principles and major aims. First, to teach the reader the five basic component skills of drawing, and second, to provide conditions that facilitate making cognitive shifts to R mode, the thinking seeing mode specialized for drawing. So in short, in the process of learning to draw, one also learns to control, at least to some degree, the mode by which one's own brain handles information. So this is interesting stuff because if you want to learn how to draw, which you do, you want to learn how to draw, it'll make everything in your life better. All you have to do is learn some basic skills that aren't drawing skills, they're visual skills. So, can you detect an edge? Can you see the little triangle? Oh man, the little triangle. That's an edge, and around my head's an edge. What are some good exercises that they talk about? Okay, so do the exercises. Um, because they facilitate switching over and also use the five skills. So, what is one of these skills that they're talking about, which is edges? Oh, over here she talks about dyspictoria and dysartistica for a name for people who can't draw. Like, it's dyslexia, but for that's like an adult who took like 20 minutes and they can't do it. Ooh, the crisis period. It talks about when people get embarrassed and stop drawing, because that's the L brain being all stinky poopy and like shitting on your work. But your work's beautiful. I'm telling you, your work's beautiful. So, what is this guy doing over here? He's doing one of my favorite exercises that my first drawing teacher gave me when I was like 12 years old. Mine was a little different, but let me explain. What's this guy doing? He's looking at his hand and very finely, specifically looking at like the wrinkles. If you look at your hand, you've got wrinkles, and I'm not talking about the big ones. I'm talking about every single little tiny crack and crevice, and there's a lot. There's a lot. Not, I don't know, maybe infinite. The more you look, the more you see. So this guy is drawing those wrinkles because we're practicing edge detection, and we want to get good at looking at edges. So that's what they're doing over here, and the squiggles. Like he'll set the timer for 5 minutes. Maybe I'll do that one day with you guys, but I'm not gonna do that now because I think that's like really boring, and that's actually what it talks about it's important that the pure contour drawing causes the L mode to reject the task, enabling you to shift to the R mode. So perhaps the lengthy minute observation of severely blah, it's non-useful and boring information because it's like, oh, I know what a wrinkle is. Like, let's move on. So you get kind of frustrated and you need to keep on going, and then eventually um, you cross over and it becomes like you just stop thinking about it and it just becomes like a really nice meditative experience. So I'm trying to find, here we go. This is the other exercise that I do with y'all. And again, I'm not moving on until you give me a response video or even a comment. Like, tell me to move on. But otherwise, I'm just going to keep practicing my intro. So I still haven't even nailed the intro yet. So you look at this while I take a sip. This is a famous picture. Everyone has seen it, so I know you know what this is. Like on 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 the dark spot is faces looking at each other, and in the middle it's a vase, and it's the same thing. So this is a good exercise for the double brain. The exercises that follow are specifically designed to help you understand the shift from the dominant left hemisphere mode to the subdominant R mode. I could go on describing the process over and over in words, but only you can experience for yourself this cognitive shift. It's like Mr. Miyagi. Like, you gotta wax on, wax off, everybody. So this slight change in this is a slight change in subjective state. So you can do this. You don't need drugs. You just focus and relax. So as Fats Waller once said, if you gotta ask what jazz is, you ain't never gonna know. He said it just like that. So it is with R mode state, you must experience the L to R mode shift. And observe the R mode state, and in this way, come to know it. So you need to become more familiar with that frame of mind, and it happens. The more you draw, the more it happens. So as a first step, this exercise below is designed to cause conflict between the two modes. So what you'll do is copy the pattern one side to the other. And then that's what they're showing you over here. So we're going to do that now. And then, how's that? And then we'll do a little discussion, because it says, why did we do that? So, gonna use this notebook right here. I'm gonna use a marker, big Sharpie. My kids love Sharpie, and they weren't allowed to have them, which made them love them even more. But I wouldn't get them for them, but they were always trying to steal mine. So I'm right-handed, so I'm gonna start with the left side and then do the right. And I don't think it really matters which way you go, but let's just jump right into it. Ugh, the wires in the shot, as long as you can hear and see what I'm doing. So I'm going to do that. And the exercise is, and this is very important, after I do the first side, for the second side, we're going to label them all and say them out loud and say what they are, like nose, chin, lips, blah. So. Do 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 do, draw on the top of the vase, and now now I'm going to the other side, and just like I said, we're going to label them out loud. So, chin, lips, oops, nose, forehead. Ta-da! That's not terrible. Should we color it in a little bit? I need like something other than that. Maybe I'm going to use the side of my colored pencil. So, while I'm doing this, let's discuss. Did you guys do it? Because this was your homework. I'm asking you to please, please, please. Drawing is such a rewarding skill to have, and our goal is to draw ourselves, and then we can draw anything. So that's why first we're learning the skills and the tools that we need, and we're learning about the right frame of mind that we need. And once we have those things, then we can draw anything. And that's why we choose to draw ourselves. But knowing the anatomy is very helpful. So that's why we're doing the anatomy after this. So I've done this a couple of times. So in fact, I've done this many, many times in the book. Geez, I'm gonna have to just like start labeling them and stuff. I think mine came out good, but let's discuss what just happened because there's more to the story, everybody. So, okay, 20 minutes in. I want to hurry up. So, okay, nearly all of my students experience some confusion or conflict while doing this exercise. A few people experience a great deal of conflict, even a moment of paralysis. If this happened to you, you may come to a point where you need to change direction in the drawing, but you didn't know which way to go. And the conflict may have been so great that you could not make your hand move the pencil to the right or to the left. And it's confusing because it's like a mirror image and you're comparing where all the lines are and you got to go back and forth and it's, you could go the wrong way. So that is the purpose of this exercise, to create conflicts that each person can experience in their own minds, the mental crunch that can occur when the instructions are inappropriate to the task at hand. And I believe that the conflict can be explained as follows. I gave you instructions that strongly plugged in the verbal system of your brain. Remember that I insisted that you name each part of the profile. And now really think what those terms mean. So I tricked you, everybody. So yeah, I gave you a task to complete the second profile and simultaneously the vase. And that can only be done by shifting to the visual spatial mode of the brain. And this is the part of the brain that can perceive and non-verbally assess relationship sizes, curves, angles, shapes. So yeah, it's difficult and that causes conflict and confusion and even paralysis. And you got to solve the problem. And how did you do that? And then it lists like, did you not name them? Did you shift your focus to the faces instead of the vase? Did you use a grid? How did you do the proportions or start from the bottom instead of the top? So it's really about problem solving and just becoming like relaxed and confident. If you ride a bike, you're not always going to be like, oh no, I can ride my bike today really well, but I'm going to ride my bike really bad tomorrow. Like, it's not really like that. If you can draw a circle, you could draw a circle. It just takes the mystery out of it. Like, some people think that it's magic, and it is because a lot of people don't understand it. And once you learn how to do it, I don't know. It may be more magical when you know how to do it. Do. So that was really good. They talk about upside down drawing. We'll move on to that. They talk about negative space. Negative space. We'll go on to that. They talk about how to do perspective and blah blah. See, that one's upside down because they tell you to draw upside down. Yeah, lots of things. Do 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 do. So is that really all I need out of this book? In the back, it talks about like the zen of drawing. Maybe I'll just do a little quick little reading. No, yeah. In oneself lies the whole world, and if you know how to look and learn, then the door is there and the key is in your hand. Nobody on earth can give you either the key or the door to open except yourself. That's interesting. In the beginning, I said that drawing is a magical process when your brain is weary of its verbal chatter. Sorry, it's blurry. Drawing is where to quiet the chatter and grasp a fleeting glimpse of transcendent reality. This is a drawing book. By the most direct means, your visual perceptions stream through the human system, through retinas, optic pathways, brain hemispheres, motor pathways, to magically transform an ordinary sheet of paper into a direct image of your unique response, your vision of the perception. Through your vision, the viewer of the drawing, no matter what the subject, can find you, see you. And furthermore, drawing can reveal much about you to yourself, some of the facets of you that might be obscured by your verbal self. So your drawings can show you how to see things and feel about things. So first, you draw in R mode, wordlessly connecting yourself to the drawing. Then shifting back to your verbal mode, you can interpret your feelings and perceptions by using the powerful skills of your left brain, words and logical thought. Blah 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 blah. So yeah, drawing is really good for your mental health. Talks about like you just have the power of both halves of your brain. So it's kind of like having like magical powers. Yeah, I'm gonna stop with that because I want to move on. Boop boop, but I won't put it far because sometimes I want to reference it again. I want to get up. So if you did make a mistake, you can always correct it. You're allowed to use a pencil, or I mean eraser. Yeah, that's my critique on this one. I struggled a little bit in this spot over here, so I'm gonna be like, that was one spot that I struggled. And I always do the lips like I go really quickly into the lips. But those are kind of small in general. Yeah. Um, just matching this to this is kind of hard. Yeah. So, anyways, let's move on. As you can see, I've got my anatomy textbook right here. I really love it. I love my anatomy textbook. Um, what's going on? Ugh. Is that really the best? It's like not even focusing. How sad. Oh well. We do what we can. So, this is our skull, everybody. And ta-da! If you want to get good at drawing portraits, like your own beautiful face, you gotta know like the physical boundaries, and it's really all skulls are the same. So I know that faces can be different, but all skulls are the same. And the muscles on the skull are the same. And you know, doctors have anatomy textbooks and they learn, but artists are the same way. So it talks about in the beginning about how artists and doctors kind of worked side by side in the Renaissance, like dissecting cadavers and blah blah. So it's really an interesting process because learning how to draw, we started with the neurology and the psychology behind it, and now we're getting into the actual biology. So isn't drawing fun? Isn't art fun? Being an artist was the original meaning of being like a magician. or a witch or something. So, yeah, I just had on this other side where, oh, here's the drawing I did on the other day. See, I've made mistakes, and this one was really close together, so I didn't really like that one. As you can see, I have drawn the skull before. I've also done, oh, here's another one. I've done this exercise many times, so I'm like, please, guys. All I need is like one person to respond, and then I'll move on. But yeah, my anatomy drawings are so-so. They're getting there. I wanted to get better at drawing my own portraits, so I kept drawing my face over and over and over and over and over, and they were just like not really getting better. So that's why I've been practicing. And I can't move on from the skull until I really nail all of them. So it's fuzzy, stinks. The bones of the skull. The bones of the skull are divided into two main groups: the bones of the cranium and the bones of the face, facial bones. And the individual, my nose is so itchy. Ugh. The individual bones within each group are identified in the figures at the top of page 74, which is the next page. 8 bones make up the cranium section of the skull. Together, these bones form the protective encasement for the brain, and it consists of 2 portions: the cranial vault. Ugh, the wires in the frame again. Don't you guys love hearing me read? I'll learn how to like put the text up, I guess. That's probably, I'm gonna have to get better at doing stuff like that. But I don't want to edit. I don't like editing. I just want to have a class. So this is really about you guys. Like, I don't care about my video. I'm practicing, and I want you to practice. And I don't really, I mean, the video is about communicating that. It's not about having a good, I don't care about the video. Just like I don't care about the drawings, because I'm just gonna do another drawing tomorrow. So just enjoy the process. Like, the drawing isn't necessarily about having like a perfect drawing. It's about practicing. Like, if I want to get good at basketball, practice your free throws, and then when you're ready to play in a game, you'll like be really good. That's what I meant by Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off. Like, if you practice the skills, then when you're ready to do the drawing, like, if I, then you'll have the skills and you'll be ready. So where do I want to start? I really like this, and I want to draw it all together, but instead I'm going to start over here. My nose is so itchy. I'm clean. Don't worry. Everything's clean. Part of my ritual before getting on camera is like brushing my teeth and like putting on makeup and making sure my skin is moisturized. I just wish that this wasn't so blurry. How am I gonna do this? So, half of my videos are just me like trying to move stuff around and get better lighting, and is the sound working? Flipping this over because you don't need to see that. Okay, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're gonna start over here. I didn't like how fuzzy it was. But then the problem is, once I do this, then the tripod gets like very unstable. See, like, if I were to bring you down here, what the heck and a heck and a heck, bear with me, technical difficulties. See, that doesn't work because now you can't see what I'm doing. So back up here we go. Is it just like really hot in here? Is it just me? So that was just a total waste of time that I'm not going to go in and edit out because I'm not going to focus on editing. Okay, so... my God, come on. Come on. So I want to start doing the facial bones. And the first one is the frontal bone. Yeah, I've never really read all of this. I should really read the whole book through. So that's what we're doing together. Do I want to use pencil or colored pencil? Let's make it blue today. So when you're drawing, you want to figure out where the parameters of your drawing are. So, I'm seeing basically like a rectangle. So, splitting it in half. And now I'm doing like a dome shape on top, and I'm bringing it down because it wasn't enough. So this is like the frontal bone, like there, so that I know that. And then we've got the superior temporal line, which is kind of like if the frontal bone was a ball, the superior temporal line is like the frame around the ball. Mm. I went the wrong way. I'm gonna harden out the lines. So when you're drawing, you want to start out with like really gentle lines, because you might make a mistake, you never know. Okay, so frontal bones here, superior temporal lines here on both sides. You can even shade it out, but I'm not going to focus on the shading just yet. So then 3 is the superciliary arch. And it's kind of like this line on the forehead, like this is a superciliary arch. So we've got frontal bone right here. I'm going to have to start drawing on myself more. And then the superior temporal line is here. And this is the superior temporal line. And this is the frontal bones and superciliary arch. This is important to know because when you're drawing your face, you'll know where everything is. So, since now I know where the superciliary arch is, now I can draw the glabella, which is kind of like a trapezoid right there. So that would be the glabella. And then now that I know where the glabella is, then it's easy for me to draw in at least the top of the eye sockets because they're connected. See, that's why it's important to know where the glabella is, because now I can put in my eye sockets. And then underneath the glabella, which is here, there's the root of the nose, or nasion. Nasion, how do you pronounce that? Nasion. And I never figure out how to do that. I always feel like I mess up somewhere. But then when I come back and look at it later, I'm like, it's not that bad. Okay, here's where my problemo is. The root of the nose, I always start too far down. The root of the nose starts basically in the middle of the superciliary temporal line. So, this is just the process, everybody. Once you get more comfortable drawing, your brain doesn't have to really work hard. You can kind of almost go into like a state of hypnosis. It's like when you're driving and then you look up and you've been driving for like 30 minutes and you've gone, you know, all the way home and you're just like, "Oh my God, I was just like listening to the music and looking at the grass and the trees and I wasn't even focused on driving and I'm all the way home." Um, or it can be like when you're running and you get that runner's high and you get that flow, which happens also during sports when you really get in the flow. It can happen if you're typing. I practice typing. It can happen with instruments. Like, it's all connected. I feel like I'm still not completely comfortable drawing that. Like, something's just like, I think that's what's going on. My superciliary arch was like my superior temporal line. I think I brought in like way too far. Which means I couldn't bring the eyes out enough, the eye sockets. So I mean that's basically what we're going for. Like that is that, and the important thing is to practice the anatomy, which is without looking. Okay, one is frontal bone, and then superior temporal line. Oh, if I go over it like this. See, that's why using color is nice. Probably why in, like Disney and stuff they start with colored pencil, because you can always go over it and change it up later. So, it's not a perfect skull, but it's also not the worst skull. This is this. Okay, superior temporal line, superciliary arch, glabella nason. We're getting it. We're getting there. Every time we remember a little bit more. Let's define the little nason a little better. I've also decided that I'm a performance artist. Not that I haven't been, I've always been. It's just like very obvious to me now. Oh, it's so hot in here. I'm dying. I'm wearing sweatpants and a flannel, and I'm in the attic. The wedge-like shape, like the keystone of an arch, and that's the little red, which is the glabella. So the top of the glabella is your eyebrows, and the bottom of your glabella is like the top of your nose. I wish I had. Oh yeah, my crayons. I'm gonna draw it on me, guys. Let's go for it. Let's just draw. I have these really awesome face paint crayons that I just love to use. So I'm gonna draw on my glabella, everybody. Ta-da! Oh, I did such a bad job. Um, well, that's what you get for drawing on your face without being able to. I tried to draw it without looking, just based on knowing. Ugh, but because when you look in the camera, it's almost harder to do when you're looking in the camera. Anyways, so now I've messed up my face, but I'm gonna keep drawing because I'll get better at it next time. So we're gonna do this drawing of the skull right here. I usually start with this top, which is like roundy round. That would be the frontal bone. And then it kind of comes down like this, and it comes out like that, and goes back there. It's really interesting because it's almost like, um, what does it feel like when you're drawing? Drawing feels like if my eyes were the pencil and I was looking at the edge and I was what does drawing feel like? How do you know when you're in I wanted like communicate the fact that like it's almost like an automatic process like breathing, like just looking and feeling around um how am I trying to do this? Da, 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 da. This right here is the zygomatic arch. This is the ear hole. It's like whatever I'm looking at, that's kind of what my pencil is moving on. Like if I could trace it in three-dimensional space, um, it's like leaving footsteps in the sand. Like when I'm walking on the beach, I'm not thinking like, okay, now I've got to take my foot and put it in the sand and then I've got to press down and I got to do all this stuff. It's like you kind of just walk forwards and then that's the side effect of your body moving through space on the beach. Um, so this is like the footsteps of your soul. um, this is what you see and this is what you're communicating. That's why I think it's so important that everyone needs to know how to draw and how to practice drawing because you don't understand that you're not you can process reality in a different way. I don't know. What am I trying to say now? Da, 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 da. It's just so enriching. Um, and I'm just like, I'm really excited to draw my friends, and I want to. Da, 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 da. It's just like something people should know how to do. I think I was talking about that before. I used to be really afraid of drawing the teeth, and then um, I actually spent a couple of times like really drawing the teeth, and now I know that like you've got three rectangular molars, and then you've got three that are kind of diamond shaped, and then you've got two that are square shaped, and then you just repeat that on the other side and on the bottom. So it's like, are teeth hard to draw? Well, it depends. Are rectangles hard to draw? Are diamonds hard to draw? No. It's like, oh, well, that one's kind of circular. I don't know. Just look at it and draw what you see. Ta-da! I mean, those aren't the best teeth I've ever drawn, but um, if I were to look back at my older drawings, which I might do later, but I'm trying to stay on track with the video, I used to not put in the teeth like at all. And when I did put in the teeth, they were pretty much always just gestures and completely wrong. Plus, it's like badass to know how to draw skulls. If you want to be punk, uh, or if you just want to get good at drawing naked people, there's a huge industry of drawing naked stuff. So, you know, drawing is a money talent. Like, you can, if you know how to draw, you can go on any street corner and start drawing, and people will give you money. It's like some skills, man, like juggling, dancing, playing instruments. It's just like, what is it about some of these skills that bring success more than others? Like gardening. Oh man, I've been gardening so much, everybody. I've learned how to propagate plants so I could have infinite plants. Infinite plants. And I want to give them away because then we're going to have our butterfly garden and also our hummingbird garden because that's what we want in the world. That's like my life purpose right now, other than teaching y'all how to draw, which is my life purpose. But my other life purpose is bringing back butterflies to New York City, which they're still here, but they're endangered. So same thing with hummingbirds. Like just as I got older, I found what makes me tick, and these are some of the things that make me tick. So now that I've been drawing this skull for a while, I'm kind of over doing it with the line work, but yeah, I kind of lost track of time, so I spent a lot more time drawing him or her. I don't do. Oh, that's what's going on. Do. I would say that looks like a skull. It's not a terrible skull. It is a skull. It looks like a skull. I think that needs to come down a little bit more. So again, we got repetition is how we learn and practice. Frontal bone. Superior temporal line. Superior temporal line. We just drew it. Superciliary. Okay, hold on. We gotta make my brain work a little bit, everybody. Frontal bone, temporal line, superciliary arch, glabella, nason. Okay, frontal bone, superior temporal line, superciliary arch, glabella, nason. Okay, and I'm ready to move on. And then what's this? This is the zygomatic arch, zygomatic process. I'm just saying it out loud. What are we? Oh my goodness, we're 53 minutes in. Wow, we're lagging. So, lower jawbone is mandible. Upper jawbone is maxilla. I'm just saying them out loud. We'll get to them in the next video. Oh, so slow. Zygomatic arch. Inferior nasal conchella. Lacrimal bones behind the eyes. Nasal bone. Vomer bone is the nose, inside the nose bone. And then frontal bone. Parietal bone. Temporal bone. Occipital bone. Ethmoid bone is behind the eye again. Sphenoid bone is underneath the zygomatic arch and above the mandible, which is the jawbone. So we've got teeth here, which we've practiced, and then after that, we'll do oh, goodness gracious. S is bodacious. We'll do the neck, which there's 7 cervical vertebrae in the neck. We do know that. I don't know how many ribs. And we've got all of these fun things, and then it gets into the muscles. Yay! See, we're almost there. And then it breaks it down. So, like I said, we've all got the same bones, mostly. We've all got the same muscles. We've all pretty much got the same skin, too. So, I mean, we've got the same eyeballs. We've got basically the same nose and lips. Like, I'm talking minor adjustments. If you can draw one nose, you can draw maybe a big nose or a small nose. You can practice types of noses, but it won't matter if you don't know. I mean, like, if you know where the maxilla, really? Why does that sound so weird right now? If you know where the maxilla is, you know where the superior superciliary arch is, you know where the superior temporal line is in the frontal bone, then it's not hard. It's kind of like, well, if I'm putting a puzzle piece in, I'm not going to have to like rough up the edges. You just put them and they click in so nicely together. So that's what we're going for. So if you're still with me, we've finally reached the point where we did all that prep for. That's what all the prep was for, so that we can finally do our figure drawing. Because if we didn't do our prep, it would be stinky. It would be a bad drawing because we didn't have the tools. We practiced the tools, the 5 tools, and we weren't in the right frame of mind. So now that we know how to do those things, and now we know some basic anatomy, then we can get into actually drawing our figure drawing, and it'll have faster improvement than if you're not doing all of this. Like, I'm not saying that it's important. No, it's important. It's like, you just really won't get better as fast if you're not practicing the basics. So now I'm going to disrobe because I am the model. And, yep, drawing my body. My nose is so itchy, everybody. It's like my mustache is just like tickling. Maybe something's going on. It is driving me bananas. Ugh. I got the most comfortable cushion, everybody. So now I can sit without being aggravated. It's so nice. So, this is just going to be a long video. I'm sorry. We're going to have to skip the slam poetry. And I'll get started earlier in the morning. But yeah, it's an hour class, and sometimes my kids' parents would be late picking them up. So the class can just run a little longer today. So I like to start off with some gesture drawings. And the first one will just be like 5 seconds or 10 seconds. But like, I start off with just feeling out, where everything is in space. What the heck? My lead is falling out. My lead fell out again. What's going on? Little tiny pieces. An important thing to know is that your eyes are in the middle of your head. So whatever you're doing, divide it in half, and that's where your eyes go. But don't draw them in yet, or at least not completely. We've got my frontal bone. That's the superior temporal line. That's the superciliary arch. That's the glabella, which I can very clearly see marked on my face. And that's the root of the nose, which means that the nose is kind of triangular. And I know that my eyes are here. This is already too much drawing for a simple gesture drawing. It's funny because sometimes I'll do like a couple drawings and then I'll be like kind of satisfied and I'll like give up and start drawing, and then once I've had that kind of like release, then I can just kind of casually draw. Really. yeah, gesture drawings. Sometimes you can start off like really not expecting to do more of a drawing, but then like where it's going. And then, in fact, that's like my preferred method of drawing, and for meditation. Since they're kind of very similar processes, I'll tell you what I mean. So if I'm planning on having an hour-long meditation, let's go easier. Let's say 20 minutes. If you're doing Duolingo, like 20 minutes a day is going to get you a language. Maybe, I don't know. Or piano, if you do 20 minutes a day. But it doesn't even need to be that much, especially when you're beginning. So that's why I like to be like advocating 5 minutes. And that's what I would do with my kids. I would say, everybody, first I would do a 2 minute demo. So I would show them how I draw my face and they could watch the actual process. And I would only have 2 minutes to draw like an entire self portrait. Which is funny because sometimes when you're on a time crunch like that, uh, you can make some really graceful work with your drawings when you're kind of pressed for time. If you get the flow right, you know what I mean. So yeah, I would set the timer for 2 minutes, and I would draw. I don't even know if it was 2 minutes. It might have just been 30 seconds. That's not enough. I'm gonna say 2 minutes. So yeah, I would draw for 2 minutes, and then I would have them draw themselves for 5 minutes, and I would be like, no talking, no talking, and no talking. Because they all want to sit by their friends, and they all want to be like, oh, and you have a pencil, and ha ha ha. And I'd be like, no talking, shut up. Except nicer because they're like, what grade were they? First, second, third, fourth, and fifth, and sixth. It was kindergarten with some pre-K, not all together except on Fridays. They were all together. But yeah, the company was actually for theater, but I'd gotten hired as like fine art visual department, which was weird because kind of knew more about it than the people in the office. So we had a little bit of a struggle communicating. We had a really great final share at the end because I did a lot of upside down drawing with the kids as well, and their drawing, I would be like, Nintendo and Dragon Ball Z. I'm starting over because I'm like kind of done with this drawing. Oh, I didn't even finish my story, but yeah, draw for 5 minutes, and then when you're done with that 5 minute drawing, then just like forget about it and move on to another drawing and then do that drawing for 5 minutes. And I feel like that is just such a nicer way to get through without being focused on like the time frame the whole time, because for whatever reason when I'm meditating, if it was for 20 minutes, 5 5 minutes is just like more palatable, or it's easier to digest than a 20-minute session. So if I do 5 minutes and I enjoy myself for the 5 minutes, or even if I lose focus, like the timer will go off and then I'll refocus for another 5 minutes, or I'll double it to like maybe after the 5 minutes, then I'll do a 10 minutes, and then I'll do a 20 minutes. And that just seems to be a better way of grounding me than if I were to just set the timer for 20 minutes. If I wasn't ready for it. I mean, if I was ready for it, like, go for it, but yeah, learning how to set the environment, providing the conditions. Do 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 do. So I see my hair. This is all a dark spot. You kind of want to go light to dark. Well, no, you want to put in the dark spots first. What am I trying to? I don't know. I guess it depends on which medium you're using. So, if I'm going to go to the anatomy that I've learned, this is the frontal bone. And then I've got like my superior temporal arch, the superciliary, no, temporal line. Glabella, superciliary arch, glabella, nason. I don't really feel like I'm putting them in. I don't know. I guess I gotta practice, like, using the anatomy that I've learned about. I don't know. I guess I just haven't gotten that far. Like, what am I trying to say? I don't know. I haven't even gotten through the whole skull yet. I haven't gotten through the muscles yet, so even though I've been drawing for a long time, I feel like I don't know. Maybe I never really learned the basics well enough. That always kind of held me back. So now I'm going back and I'm learning the basics. And I feel like I'm not entirely there yet, but if we keep this up, we'll get there. There's like, it's like, that's why I like labyrinths. It's like, if you just keep walking, you'll get there. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Um, I recommend drawing like really slow, like really, really slow. But I'm kind of going for a faster sketch. I want to get away with like practicing that skill of having like sketch work. Something's wrong with my eyes. You can always turn the picture upside down and look at it. Boop 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 doo 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 doo. Yeah, that totally threw me off. I didn't do it right, but you know, maybe next time I'll get it a little closer. I can always just start over. That's kind of what I mean about the drawings like not really mattering. It's because like if I'm practicing running, I'm going to have to run miles and I'm not going to like every single mile be like I mean, you want every moment in your life to be important, but at the same time, I'm not going to be like what am I trying to say? Each mile's like the same as the last, so each portrait should basically like be the same. Like you put your foot in front of the other, and this one's just like you put the mark down, you put the next mark down. It's just lines. You just gotta know where to put them and how to put them. So you practice your skills, starting with edges. See, this is why everything keeps moving. I don't like this one. I'm gonna start over again. A lot of the times I like the gesture drawings better than my full-on portraits. So that's why I think it's really important to do a lot of gesture work. Um, because if your gesture isn't correct, then Everything you put on, it's like the framework of your whole drawing. Um, so if you're going to build a house, you'd want to have some good framework. I think I need to watch some tutorials of just like how to draw a skull, how to draw yourself. And it kind of stinks because in the beginning, the drawing isn't going to look like anything, and you really have to fight the urge to listen to your brain saying, like, that's not right, that's not right. It's like, well, you're not done. You need to work out the drawing. It's like a recipe. You're baking a cake and you're like, "Oh, I'm making it up as I go. I want a little bit more salt over here, and I maybe want some chocolate." I don't know. It's just like there's a process. So just become familiar with your process. Um, I am out of practice, so I feel like um, this is like only my second time drawing this week. So I feel like if I were to draw for an hour a day, like I'm doing in these classes, I feel like in a week I'm gonna be. And that's another thing is like even if you're not really recording, like you don't really have to focus that hard on every single portrait. But then if you're drawing portraits every single day, eventually you're gonna have some that look better than others, and that is like enough to keep you going because you know that you're getting better. You'll look at your older drawings and be like, oh my god, like my new drawings are so much better now. Or you'll look back at some and like really like some aspects of some of your drawings and you can use those and incorporate them into your next drawing. So, yeah, it's just like Pokemon gaining experience. I always make this reference, but it's just like, in Pokemon when they keep fighting, and then every time they fight, they get a little better, and when they get better, they grow bigger and stronger. So we're getting our skills to be bigger and stronger. Um, and again, it's not an effort. Like, it's an automatic process. It's like you can almost float out of your body, and then you come back 30 minutes later, and you you're looking at like a really accurate reflection. Um, and I'm like not making this up. It can really feel like that way. Um, I'm drawing my shoulder, and here's a little mouthpiece. This is parietal bone. We've got our occipital bone. Make sure you're looking at the subject and not your drawing, y'all. That's why the pure contour drawing is so important when you're not looking at your hand when you're drawing, because you want to establish the connection in your brain between like where is my hand, where is the pencil. Because the better you are at that, it's like juggling and you don't have to look at the balls, or typing without looking at your fingers. Um, it's actually very useful skill. Not to say you can draw a portrait without looking down ever. That's like not what I mean. But you should generally like the focus is on the subject and not the drawing. So I feel like if you just keep looking at whatever it is you're looking at, if you just keep looking at it and marking down on the paper what what you see without really thinking about it, I feel like you'll get a picture, and that's kind of what drawing is. Ugh. This one is like, oh, I always give myself these really baggy eyes. Still kind of figuring out the dark spots. I have really dark eyebrows. I always have them take up like my whole face. You just become familiar with your own face and like, oh, I didn't even see that shadow the first 30 times I drew my own portrait, and now, I'm seeing shadows, and it's just like making sense in a way that I didn't really understand before. And you just learn how to articulate what you're seeing on the paper. So it's both a conscious and an unconscious thing. You know, like eventually when you're practicing a language, like you can just speak the language without like really thinking about it. So drawing is just a visual language, and once you learn how to speak the language, you can communicate. So this is just a language of line. If I'm drawing my hand, you don't even need to do shading. You can just go straight. I mean, if so, you literally could just go straight into drawing the line though, and it'll fit together just like a puzzle. Boop 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 boop. Like um. And this is something that you can also practice of doing just straight line work. But I wouldn't recommend starting with it, at least. I would recommend I draw whatever you want to draw. Just keep drawing, and then show me your work. But drawing is just lines, or it doesn't even have to be lines. You can do stippling, which is just dots. But once you're in the flow and you know you're in the right frame of mind, you can kind of like take off flying and then just start drawing like exactly what you see and just put it down on the paper, and it'll just all be like in the exact right spot because you literally have a part of the brain that's designed to recognize shapes and stuff. It's just like, again, it's nonverbal, so you wouldn't really be, I don't know, as conscious of it or something. Boop, 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 boop. That is not, I mean, it's a hand. It kind of comes up further over here. But, yeah, sometimes you can do that with your own face. I mean, drawing is all the same. The more you draw, the more you'll understand that you're just trying to speak a language of line and shading. You can do it with finger paints. It doesn't matter. I can get chocolate sauce and just start dabbing it on the paper. And if you do it in the right way, you can have, a beautiful picture. So, drawing it's just the same as, painting. A marker, I don't even know. Marker is kind of in between because it's like you can paint with ink. So drawing is painting. It's all just a visual language that it's so intuitive. Like, it's literally the intuitive part of the brain. You'll start having insights when you're drawing because again, you're connected to a nonverbal part of the brain. So as you're drawing, you can start feeling emotions. You can start feeling like waves of, I don't know, anything. It's just like a very personal experience, and I guess now is the time for me to do what's it called? critique, because it's really important to critique the work. I wish the camera was a better focusing camera, but it's not. And it's late. I have to go walk my doggy, and then go to bed and do this all again in the morning. I can't wait to do this again tomorrow. There are not enough hours in the day. I need to get better fast. There's too much to do. So, I like barely put in the eyes. I didn't draw on the eyelids. I didn't draw on the eyelashes. I didn't draw the shading around the nose. I put the eyes on the same level. Like my eyes, it took me a long time to like even get the eyes on the right level. I guess that's where I'm at right now. I'm still in the front of the face. So everything like here, I'm like mostly happy with, you can see the beginnings of a face. And that's because that's where I've gotten to in the anatomy so far. It's just like, damn, where was my drawing? Uh I did this one today. Yeah, these are pretty good. So that's just where we're at in the anatomy. We have the forehead, which is, I'm going to cut this off at basically an hour and a half now. The forehead is the frontal bone, temporal line, superciliary arch, glabella, nason. So let me just, I don't have to check. That's what we've learned so far. And then because of those things, we also know the zygomatic arch, and that'll be like, we didn't even get to the eyeballs in the book yet, or the muscles around the eyeballs and stuff. So, you know, we can we can basically draw the bones in the skull. Should I draw a skull first and then start drawing my face on top of it next time? I mean, that's kind of what I was trying to do in my gesture drawings. So, I feel like maybe the more I draw the skull, then the easier it'll be for me to do like a phantom skull in order to construct my face on top, because it just seems like you can draw any face at any time. And I just really want to get to that point. And then after that, we can start doing the rest of the body. And the goal is to draw like figure drawing, like a whole person, like a whole naked model. They don't have to be naked; they can wear clothes. But yeah, we wanna have a class of people together and have, one or multiple models to draw. So I don't know if that's going to be online. I don't know if that's going to be in person or both. I would like to do it. I've got like boxes and boxes of chalk. So um, your homework is do the vase experiment. Do the vase experiment. Do draw one side and then on the other side say it out loud. Cause that conflict, and then you'll know what the conflict feels like. And then it's like good news, because once you feel that mental crunch and conflict or frustration, that means that the left brain it wants to give up the task, which means that if you keep doing it, it'll give up, and then that's how you get the right brain to take over and do the job for you. And then it becomes an automatic process. You don't have to think about it. It just happens magically. So, practice the basics. And then when you want to do when you want to do your marathon, do a real drawing and spend like an hour, really spending an hour focusing on drawing your face. Your picture will be so much better than um, just I feel like if that's what I did for so long, I was drawing my face so over and over and over, and it just like wasn't getting better. So that's what we're here for. Is we're learning the basics for the first time, and then we're practicing them, and then we'll get good. So that is my message. Butterfly Square Garden is a place online where you can be free to be yourself. And one of the things that we're doing to improve as human beings, not, I mean, it doesn't have to be about self improvement, it's just nice. You know, you learn the skills, the basics, and then you practice the basics, and then you can have more advanced techniques. So, I want everyone to be confident. We're a course in enhancing creativity and artistic confidence. So we're going to be enhancing our creativity and artistically confident, drawing and not being embarrassed of our drawings. Like, wouldn't it be nice to have a whole book filled with drawings and then someone says, "Hey, can I see your drawing sketchbook?" And you can be like, "Yeah, sure, take a look." And then they'll flip through and be like, "Whoa, he like actually knows how to draw. Will you draw me?" And then you'll be like, "Yeah, sure." And then you'll draw them. They'll keep that they'll keep that drawing like for the rest of their life. Like, I'm not even kidding. That's how important this skill is. Anything, think of Disney, think of like any of your favorite cartoons. Like, when the people were making that artwork, they were feeling the magic. They were feeling it. It's a feeling. So yeah, feel good, relax, calm down. Don't stress. Even if you have a stinky poopy drawing, like, you can use that as a scaffolding for the next one to be better. Like, there's literally no downside. I don't see any problems with drawing. It can only make your life better. Like, seriously, you'll notice other aspects of your life. Like, you're practicing the visual part of your brain, so your dreams will be more vivid. Like, you'll be able to think more three-dimensionally. You'll be able to come at problems from multiple dimensions and angles, like being able to shift back and forth between what task, what mode of perception is most appropriate for the task at hand. Like, I'm ranting. I can go on and on and on. We've barely gotten through like two exercises of this book, and I've literally made lots and lots of videos, just, repetition. We got to learn these things. So I'm going to study up, and next time we we'll practice the more obscure parts of the skull, but I feel like we only need to do that like one more time. Um, After the skull, I'm thinking maybe of moving into the hands though, because once we can do the face, and then we can do the hands, and then I'm thinking we can do the feet. Um, and the rest is like so easy. Like, a femur is just like it's just like a bone. So when you're drawing people, like, that's what people care about. They care about the face, the eyes, the nose, um, the hair. They care about the hands and the feet. It's like, if you're working out, you don't skip leg day, because everyone will think that no matter how ripped you are, um, you're a joke because you skip leg day. So, like, don't skip face, don't skip hands, don't skip feet, because no matter how nice the rest of the body is, those are the parts that will like make or break your drawing. Yeah, again, I love talking to you guys. I'm so happy to be here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I know that we're living in a world where everyone wants to grow their own channel and grow their own work, so that's the deal. Like, we'll help each other grow, we'll support each other. I don't know. That's really it. This video is an hour and a half, and I always say it's going to be a quick video, and I'm only going to spend like 30 minutes, and I'm going to skip all the basics, and then I wind up like doing the whole 9 yards. So I guess that means that we're on the right track. You like my glabella? If you took one thing away from this, remember glabella. No, remember the skills. Like practice your pure contour drawing, and practice just practice and drop a little bit below. I would really love to see your work. I want to see your work. I want to get to know you. We're developing a community. We can eventually draw each other, even if we're ugly drawings. Like drawings are so much fun, and if you can draw with no what if you can be uninhibited when you're drawing, it's just the same. Like it'll just be funny. Like if I were to draw someone and it come out bad, like but it's still them and it contains their essence. If someone's got curly hair and you draw them and the drawing has curly hair, that's them, even if it's a stick figure. So that's it. I don't know. I love you guys. This is fun. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll work in the morning so that there's actual natural light. And I'm saving up for a better camera so that we won't be all fuzzy. At least we can hear me. Yeah, I'm done. Bye 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 bye. Yeah, we did our critique enough, so I can never end these. Like and subscribe, and I'll like and subscribe you. Ooh, just kidding. We did it. We did it, everybody. Bye.